This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Right, Ira. Good morning, sir. After an interesting evening, it was one of those where I was obviously impressed with Tyler Hero. Butler was a monster. It was fun to watch Orlando Robinson play. But the third quarter showed up, and I know without Bam and Lowry out, but you still had to eke one out, against the Houston Rockets, which that's like the only depressing part of it, even though it was very entertaining watching some of these guys play.
Yeah, I think when you look at a game like that, Big O, if you were to tell me you were going to have a game with no Bam Adebayo, no Kyle Lowry, no Victor Oladipo, no Dwayne Dedmon, and doing it on the second night of a back-to-back, I don't think it matters who you play. And you know what? For all the crappy losses they've given away, you take a cheap win because that's what it takes to get back to 500 where they are. Now you have to follow it up against the Spurs in Mexico City when you play them on Saturday, and then you move forward from there. So I think we're at the point, Big O, when you get to this stage, December moving forward, there's no bad victories and there's no good losses. They have to make hay in the standings because you know what? 3-game winning streak. Where are the Heat? 10th place in the Eastern Conference. So there's still work that has to be done.
Well, they're at 500 now, which is good. And they got back to 500
exactly.
Overall. The Tyler thing was weird, man. Dude, you get to the 10 3-pointers, and I'm like, all right, he's going to break the record. And that always seems to be like some kind of a ceiling, some kind of a wall for people. And he just didn't get that 11-3, man. You know what? He tied, I want to say he tied Brian Shaw in the third quarter. And I'm like,
it was Brian Shaw. It was Brian Shaw, Mario Chalmers, and Duncan Robinson all had 10 before. But you know what? It's not just that Tyler stopped. The entire team stopped. Big O, they didn't score in the last 5 minutes. I mean, you talk about lucky and fortunate. They got up by that 12-point lead. It frittered away. They won it on their defense. Again, Tyler wasn't thinking about the record. You know what record he should have been thinking about?
I'm thinking about the damn record, bro. Duncan gets there. Who's the other guy? Chalmers.
Brian Shaw there. And Mario Chalmers. And
Chalmers set the record. Shaw set the record,
yes.
But the other two got there, and it's like, okay. And they by the way, if I remember correctly, I think even both of them didn't get there at the end of the fourth quarter. They also had some time to break it, and they couldn't break it. And Tyler again, and I go, okay, finally somebody's going to break Brian Shaw's record, and it doesn't happen. But you're right. The third quarter showed up, and then it just completely discombobulated everything.
Yeah, and you just survived. What was impressive is this. Only 2 players in NBA history have had 9 or more 3-pointers in consecutive games. Stephen Curry did it 5 times. James Harden did it twice. Tyler Hero, though, became the first player in NBA history to get 9 or more on consecutive nights. Think about that, Big O. Think about the great 3-point shooters in NBA history, going back to the Reggie Millers and the guys before Steph Curry who did it. Going back to a guy, who was in the stands last night, Jason Capono, showed up in the game of all people in Houston there. Heat 3-point legend. So when you see what Tyler Hero has done, all of a sudden it's interesting. You and I spoke about this. 4 years, $130 million. Are they bat whatever crazy out of their mind? Well, maybe Tyler is that guy, because we were sitting there. I was with the media guys, Anthony Chang next to me, Jonathan Fagan from the Houston Chronicle, and we were saying, this guy's got it. This guy's an offensive guy. And It's interesting. Got people like you who have spoken about also, but he's not a two-way player and he doesn't defend. James Harden's not a two-way player. Steph Curry's not a two-way player. They both got better to at least get closer to average. What Tyler Hero does is what you need in today's NBA. And Big O, I'll say this also.
By the way, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that I get in the arguments with stinking Omar Kelly on, that he gets this craziness about Gesicki wanting to block. And it's like, dude, Kellen Winslow didn't, I'm talking about senior, didn't block. Lots of receivers. Keith Jackson didn't block. And there's lots of tight ends nowadays that don't block. And there's lots of scorers in the NBA that have never really played great defense. But you know how golden it is to have a guy that can score?
Yes. That's what this league is. That's what this league is about right now. That's what you need. That's what you have to get to. It's funny. During the game, I was sitting next to Anthony Chang, and we were speaking about Tyler, and the assists are down from what he was before. You need guys sometimes to just have eyes on the rim. And I remember Dr. Jack Ramsey, we would talk to him about Alonzo Mourning, and Zoe would go weeks without an assist. And Dr. Jack would get angry, and he'd lean into us and he'd go, I don't want Alonzo Mourning passing. I want him dunking the ball. Well, you know what? I want Tyler Hero shooting the ball. That's his special and unique skill.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that because this isn't a defensive league anymore. So
Right.
if it was that, then yeah, if we were in the 90s, then yeah, we got a problem here. You know what I mean? But even though you could still use a guy like that, even in the 90s, to come off the bench and light things up, because that's always been kind of part of the league,
Exactly.
is to have a very offensive player. So I have no problem with that. Let me ask you now, Orlando Robinson. You know, you said Nordman, and when you said that, I kind of cringed because when I look at Orlando Robinson's line last night, it's 9.6 rebounds, 3 assists,
Right.
3 steals, 2 blocks. He's young, he's athletic, he's electric, he's all over the place. When I'm watching that game, I'm going, why are we going back to Deadman?
Right.
Explain to me. And so when I'm looking at Orlando Robinson, I'm going, young man, you deserve more playing time. Talk to me.
Two things there. What you want in a guy in Orlando Robinson's role is a guy who's willing not to play 5 straight games, and on a moment's notice, because Dedmon and Adebayo can't play, he's ready to go in there and do what he can. In other words, he's not looking to make a name for himself, he's looking to survive. He's the perfect player for that. But he is also an under-the-rim NBA center. Last year at the Chicago Pre-Draft Combine, he came out with the lowest, worst metrics of any player. He couldn't jump, wasn't very fast. So it's hard to make a guy like that work. You can make him work, and like he did last night, in limited minutes in such situations like that. He's a very good third-string center. And Big O, there have been times this year that he needed a third-string center. And with Omer Yurtseven going through the ankle surgery and being out for 3 or 4 months, you don't have that. With Dwayne Dedmon dealing with the plantar fasciitis in his left foot, he's not even available. You don't have that. I like the workman-like guy. That's the problem with this Heat roster this year. They're only carrying 14 because of the luxury tax. I'll let you deal with that on Monday when we do our next Acura Pembroke Pines report. So you have that in play. They're carrying Udonis Haslem. We saw his limitations last night, even in the start. So the Heat don't have the roster spots for those extra couple of guys when you would want a third-string center who can contribute when needed. That's what helped last night. The problem was, in order to add Orlando Robinson, you had to cut Drew Smith. Well, last night the Heat had no point guards. The Heat didn't have Kyle Lowry. The Heat didn't have Gabe Vincent. So Tyler had to play double duty. Other guys had to handle. That's what I'm concerned about. When you're talking about the struggles of this Heat team, when you talk about the money not spent, luxury tax and things like that, it gets harder to win with less. And I think that's where the Heat are right now. So last night it takes the ultimate in grit in order to pull it off.
I know, but man, I just think he's more well-rounded than Dedmon at this point, and kind of goes with. I think also because he's athletic and can run, also goes even more with this league now. Where Dedmon, you know, we talk about all the time how he's limited because he's an older player and can't move the same way. I just found it that. You know, it looks
was
like.
interesting. No, it was interesting. And Big O, one other thing.
By the way, with all those metrics, that's not what you see on the court.
Correct. You see on the court the hustle and the heart, and that kid was in every scrum last night for rebounds. Keep in mind with Dedmon.
By the way, the summer league was the same way. He was electric.
Yes, you were there. Absolutely. Yeah, and Dwayne Dedmon becomes trade eligible January 15th. And the reason they sort of overloaded his contract at $6.1 million was all of a sudden you add that to Duncan Robinson, you got a nice chunk of change to go out and get someone. So I believe a lot of the salary numbers the Heat are carrying right now are a factor of getting ready for that February trading deadline, lining up your contract. So it very well could be the Heat move off of Dwayne Dedmon. They wrote Dwayne's contract in a way, even though it's a one-year deal with the second year non-guaranteed, they can trade him without his permission. Most one-year deals, you can't do that. So there's a little Andy Ellisberg gamesmanship going on here also. And very well, by January 16th, you could see Orlando Robinson as the Heat backup center, Dwayne being moved on. There's a cap element to that as well. Absolutely.
And by the way, if they're trying to move, I know it's not going to be for Durant because they don't have enough for that. And I just read where Toronto's putting together a package for Durant, whatever. Who would it be if they're trying to make a move?
You know, again, it could be just the type of outside shooting big man. I mean, I'll give you a name that seems crazy, but it fits. Someone like a Kelly Olynyk. In other words, if you just have a Dwayne Dedmon on a one-year rental, why not take a rental on a Kelly Olynyk? He played
Right.
very well alongside Bam Adebayo. He's that stretch element. He might not be the prime defender, but he knows the Heat system. So I think they're working toward one more. I would put it this way. By the trading deadline, I think you will see a new rotation component with this team. Maybe we go back to the Jay Crowder move. Maybe they go through that again. There's been a lot of talk about Jay. The Suns need to get something done. The problem is the Suns right now can get Eric Gordon from the Rockets for Jay Crowder, who's more of a proven commodity than anything the Heat can offer. So you're bidding against that. And let's face it, the Suns probably put that out there also saying, hey, we can get this. Can you top it? That's part of the gamesmanship you and I always talk about on our Acura Pembroke Pines reports when it comes to trades.
All right. Heat-wise, how important is it to make that trade because of all the limitations you've talked about that they have on this roster on the back half of it?
It's important for this reason. I want to know if the Heat truly believe they can contend. Do they believe they're playing for something? Or are they just trying to get, out of the play-in round and just say, hey, we made it to the second round of the playoffs? I still don't know the mindset of this team. Is this team looking to the future to a degree already? Because you and I have spoken about it. It's really bright now with Bam Adebayo, with Tyler Hero, maybe with Jovic and some of these young pieces. So I'm really curious. Is this a team truly like we expect from the Heat that's living in the moment? Or is this a team getting its ducks in order for something bigger and better? And it comes down to this, Big O. Is there a move for the Miami Heat that would make them playoff competitive with the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks? If there is, they do it. As you're shaking your head for those only listening on our podcast, if there's not, then I think you take a smarter approach and say, hey, we're not going to punt. We're going to go all in when it comes to trying to win. But we recognize, damn, the Celtics, they're just getting Robert Williams back now. They're good. The Bucks, they're only going to get healthier. They're good. So I think there's some assessments being made in private. You know what, Big O? Sometimes it's not your year. Sometimes you don't know it's your year till later, like the Celtics.
Yeah, but a shitty year for the Heat is still over 500 record. You're in the playoffs, maybe even get into the second round. So it's not the end of the world.
No, it's not.
You're a
Not at
Miami
all.
Heat fan overall. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all. And the comparative I give you is this. Right now, who do you feel better about going forward in their chances? The way the Heat are playing and on the uptick to a degree, or the way the Panthers are playing and not on the uptick to a degree?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going with the Heat. Well, but remember, it's the same system, same coach. He knows all that. The Panthers kind of, they took a chance here, changing everything up.
Everything.
And to then try to get that going within an off season into the next season, that's a really difficult task.
Big challenge
to pull off for them. And last night, obviously, with the Penguins, they ended up falling short again. What do you think of this Curry shoulder injury?
The Warriors have been teetering all season.
Weird.
I mean, they are awful on the road. They've had some terrible losses. Klay Thompson came back, but not as the same player. Draymond wants his money. He could still be a trade factor. It's interesting. You're talking about the Heat and a team that might have to punt and take the rare punt season. I wonder what the Warriors do. Do they punt on their youth and say, we'll trade Wiseman, we'll go for the moment, trade Kuminga? Or do they say, you know what, without Steph, we're only limited on what we can do? And maybe they sort of ride that up and down and reset it. But that team without Steph Curry is a completely different team, because that team with Steph Curry this year is hardly the dominant team they were last season.
Yeah, and I got to say that I know it's kind of, I guess, a little touchy, and maybe some people might not look at it as the right move because of, whatever, what's it called? Not commitment, but loyalty.
Emotional tie, sure.
Yeah, you can't re-sign Draymond Green. You cannot give him big money. He's not worth that big money, and that's just going to be an albatross of a contract for the rest of his career on your books.
And Big O, I don't think they have to for this reason. I think every other team realizes he's a system player who works very well with the Warriors, but probably wouldn't work nearly as well with any other team. Now, maybe you'll get a craptastic team like the Hornets, who have nothing to lose, might win a lottery pick, and might think they can restart that way. But I think the Warriors might be able to come down on the money, and go longer on the years and find a way with Draymond. But what Draymond Green thinks of himself, that's where it's going to get difficult for them.
Yeah. Enjoy the money you've made and whatever money you got left to make and all the rings you've had. You've had one hell of a run, that's for damn sure. All right, what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so Heat fans can check it out?
A couple of stories, like we mentioned with Tyler Hero. I went back through the record book. I asked, why is he getting these shots right now? Eric Spoelstra said on one hand, he's stepping up. On the other hand, teams are so concerned about his dribble penetration that they're sort of backing off at the three-point line, so he's setting himself up. So I wrote a story on that, and I did a piece just on the Heat going south of the border, playing tomorrow in Mexico City, what the game means, and like Jimmy Butler said, screw it. We don't get national TV games. We might as well take advantage and enjoy this and win back the respect. And it really is crazy that a team that's been to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 of the last 3 years has so few national appearances. So I think the Heat are going to revel to a degree in this. But you know what? They're going to revel more than anything in the chance for the first time this season to get over 500. So they are going on a business trip. They are flying out today. They're going to get in. They flew out actually late last night. No major media events for them. They sent Glenn Rice as their team ambassador to a clinic down there. They're going to get the victory. They're going to come home. They only play one game over 5 days after that. What a wonderful reset this would be, Big O, to get above 500 and then be able to get everyone healthy, reset it moving forward.
Did you catch Tyler Hero in the postgame show?
I was there. I was there with him.
No,
on the TV, you mean?
No, on the court. No,
I did not catch that, no.
Yeah, they were talking about the next game. Yeah, I don't know where we're going, New Mexico or wherever we're going. Yeah, we got to go play. And it's like, so New Mexico to Mexico City. It's like, I get that they sound the same, but really, did you confuse the two? Did you not bring your passport?
No, Tyler would be in Albuquerque today. I would look at it that way.
That is too much. The story I want from you is talk to the 3 guys that stopped at 10. And did they ever think about it during the game of trying to get 11? Did they know about the record? And then the experiences that all 3 went through after they hit 10 with plenty of time to get 11, and they didn't get 11. And why the hell is there this thing at 10 that it stops everybody and nobody can break the damn record? I want to know the mystique behind all of this.
We will see going forward. Maybe tomorrow in San Antonio we'll see it. So eventually it'll fall. I never thought it would be Tyler based on Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and the other players. But hey, he's on a roll. Let's see if the roll goes on.
Yeah, or Orlando Robinson's going to break the record tomorrow. That's what's going to happen.
Orlando Robinson's going to do it. Okay, I'll keep an eye on that.
That's it. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat, and make sure you subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel and support Ira and all the great writers there. Ira, be safe in your travels. Thank you, my friend.
Hopefully the plane works better than the internet at the airport. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Internet was strong, actually, at the airport. No, it wasn't? He sounded great. Oh, it froze? Oh, okay. See, I don't always look because I'm looking at the camera. I don't always look. Sometimes I'm looking down, and when I'm looking down, I'm actually looking at the person that's talking. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm actually looking because it's right here. The screen's down. You know what I mean? But a lot of times I try to look forward because I'm trying to talk to the guest or talk to you all out there. That's kind of what we do. That's Ira Winderman right there with our Miami Heat report.